Okay, let's talk about one of the lower scoring games on the slate. We've got the Indianapolis Colts versus the Chicago Bears. Both of these teams have some of the more dominant fantasy defenses up to this point. The Colts are the best team at slowing down the quarterback. They're in the top 5 against the wide receivers. They're the best team against the tight end, and they're number 27 against the running back. So they have not surrendered many fantasy points across the board up to this point. Now, part of that is due to their opponents. We saw the Vikings completely implode in week 2, and then they faced the Jets last week. They did allow a good bit of fantasy points scored against them in week 1 against the Jaguars. So I think this is a bit of a skew based on who they faced, whereas the Bears have not allowed a wide receiver to score a touchdown on them yet. They've been average against the running back and tight ends. They've been very good at slowing down quarterbacks. We saw Matt Ryan come crashing back down to earth playing against the Bears last week. So I understand why this over-under is 43. I think I might even still take the under in this one. There are still some fantasy plays here. Of course, you're going to start your studs. Starting Jonathan Taylor, we're starting Allen Robinson. The real question mark is, can you trust T.Y. Hilton? I know I'm a glutton for punishment, but I'm throwing T.Y. Hilton back out there one more time. Even against a good Bears defense, there are going to be more targets heading Hilton's way. With Paris Campbell out for an indefinite period of time, Michael Pittman is now out for 6 weeks. This offense that had a lot of depth at wide receiver is now T.Y. Hilton and Zach Pascal as your main 1 and 2 options. So if there's any week for T.Y. Hilton to surprise, it's the week that no one's going to expect him to do well against the Bears. I'm still throwing him out there one last time. I still trust him, especially with the fact that there's going to be way more targets headed his way. Now, the Colts defense has been one of the best fantasy options on the season, and I don't know yet whether Nick Foles is the truth or he just had that one good game coming against the terrible Falcons defense. So I think the Colts defense is a really strong play in this one. Nyheim Hines is the real question mark here. So we saw week 1 in a game where the Colts were competitive and having to play from behind. Nyheim Hines was very involved. Week 2, Nyheim Hines wasn't involved at all. In week 3, he at least got 4 targets, but he wasn't involved in the run game. Depending on your situation, you might have to start him, and I think he's probably like an RB3 this week in terms of where I'm ranking him, somewhere between running back 25 and 36. I don't know that they're going to need to use him as much in this one. I don't think this would be a game where they'd be like being routed and they're going to have to abandon the run altogether. So Hines isn't someone like a smash start by any means, but definitely an okay start. Zach Pascal, as we mentioned, is basically the wide receiver 2 here. He's going to see a lot of targets. I just don't know that against the Bears, I'm going to be playing an average player like Zach Pascal. And then Alie-Cox is the other interesting one here. I mean, he's scored 2 weeks in a row. He's looked really good out there, and the Bears have surrendered some points to the tight end. So it's not the worst play in the world, but there's probably a better option unless you're just decimated at tight end. You went out and picked up Alie-Cox this week. You can throw him out there if you're in a situation where he's your best guy on your offense, but I'd rather wait this one out and make sure that he's for real. Phillip Rivers, we're not starting at any point. Neither are we playing Nick Foles. David Montgomery getting to play without Tariq Cohen is going to be a really good thing for his touches. I don't know that Cordell Patterson is going to see an uptick in too many touches here. And I think David Montgomery is going to be an every week start at this point. Allen Robinson re-established his dominance last week, and the Bears defense is also going to be a good play here. I think this is going to be a pretty low scoring game, so look for both of these defenses to have a good fantasy day. Now, Anthony Miller, I think, is truly the best second receiver on this team, but for some reason, Matt Nagy doesn't like to give him more than 50% of the snaps. So it's really hard to trust the low volume there, especially in a lower scoring game. Darnell Mooney still not consistent enough for us to trust him. You might be tempted to throw Jimmy Graham back out there, but playing against the defense that has allowed the least amount of points to opposing fantasy tight ends. They played some decent ones up to this point. I'm not going to go back out there. I feel like that's point chasing at this point. If you got Jimmy Graham, try to keep him on your bench unless you absolutely have to start him. And then, as I mentioned, probably not going to be playing Nick Foles, at least until he proves to us that last week wasn't a one-week wonder. So I think the Colts can win this one, even on the road. I got the Colts winning 21-17 over the Bears, expecting this to be a pretty low-scoring affair overall. Not going to get too cute with who we're starting in this one.